or help me understand. For the life of me, I can't understand why it's a Joe is in or nothing mindset from Royce to 5'9".
They just told the story as it is, and it kind of gave closure on it, and now it's actually been brought up into a bigger deal than I think the group ever was. They making more. Both people are getting a lot of views. I think Joel
on the flip side,
and Crooked Eye are getting a lot of views, and then Joe Budden are getting a lot off of it by, just being people tuning in to hear what Joe gonna think. What is he gonna say? Else been going on. So we just stirred up that debate, but it was another debate that was going on between a group of guys, Slaughterhouse, that kind of bubbled up a little bit. And we spoke a little bit on it last week, and I think our take was pretty good from the outside looking in. Remember, we don't know none of these guys. We don't know exactly all the details. We're finding out the details just like everybody else's fans a little bit later and going through it. And but I think our analysis on the personalities, what we done saw and what we done gathered over the years and years of hearing these artists speak at certain times of what could be the conflict. And as we seen on I think, who was it? It was Royce coming out there speaking on it and saying, hey, complete truth's not out there. And then I think he got joined in by Joe Budden, and then Joe Budden speaking his part. And then it was Joel Ortiz jumped in at the minute to say, yo, he ain't no lie. He ain't lying about all this stuff. It's just I don't know. You give your little portion.
You got to wait on Joe. You got to wait on Joe. And that's at the end of the day, man, as Joe is evolving as a businessman in the podcast space and is privy to a lot of different things. And of course, they all got different paths to doing what they do, right? You got King Crooked with Death Row and just the business dealings with Death Row. You got Joel Ortiz with the failed, attempt with Dr. Dre in his early years of almost being signed to Dr. Dre. You got the countless disasters that Joe himself has been through in contracts with Def Jam and just other indie distribution guys and labels and just his trials and tribulations with just most recently his own podcast mates Rory and Mal, and then some of the other allegations against him with
Complex,
one of his female
academics,
leaving with splitting off with academics, even though they have a good relationship. It's just one thing after the other. I'm just talking about the relationships in business, not his personal life or anything like that. Just the relationships in business. Slaughterhouse going separate. I know why they went separate. All of them can agree, and they have agreed that the business just wasn't right and shady in conjunction with just the albums. But the albums just didn't sound good as far as just from the mixtapes. Like, we all loved them from the mixtapes that's on Dat Piff and shit like that fire. Nothing but fire, but it just came to when after they dropped that first album and then they got signed to Shady, it just went all downhill from there. And, I feel where Joe was coming from, where he doesn't ever want to deal with that label at all. And it took 9 years, or however many years since they signed with Shady to kind of be, virtually free and be able to use their name and likeness and drop a project. And it just seems to be that Royce, again, didn't want to do it if Joe didn't want to do it, right? And Joe didn't want to do it until the business was right, which he has a right to do. Like, I'm all for doing correct business, especially if I know better. You know what I mean? I'm all for doing correct business. But what happens is, and what I think is being left out, is closed loop communication. I hate to pull one of those things, the military things, out my hat. I'm sure that's not just a military thing, but just closing the loop, man. Like, I don't think Joe feels like he has to get back to Crooked or Joel about anything to do with the business, because that is not his priority. He may say and do things as far as, yo, I love my brothers, those are my brothers, and this, that, and the third. But saying those things and showing those actions are two different things. If you really wanted to get back in the booth and really wanted to record again, you would. The fact of the matter is that Joe is comfortable, and you know, and the rest of these guys want to build on the legacy that is Slaughterhouse. It meant something to them too. You know what I'm saying? So they want to build on the legacy, and you're halting it. And then for reasons beyond me, Prez, how the hell?
Can I interject something? Can I interject something real quick?
Please.
Because you just talked about like that time, right? He got to make time and stuff like this. I don't think too many people like caught on to it when that argument, when he's saying that, yo, he don't have the free time and all this little stuff. But at the same time, or like he didn't follow up with him and stuff like this. But he was making it known that he going to that strip club tonight, and that was what was forefront of his mind. So it's priorities and timelines are different, it seemed like, for all three of them. All four of them. You know what I mean? All the priorities and timeline was a little bit different. Timeline that Joel and Crooked Eye, they want to keep the thing pressing, especially now that you got the name back. Like, let's make it use. Let's make use of it. And they was trying to present stuff early, but the pace that Royce, and I think we spoke on this last time, Royce and Joe got, they're still getting the critical acclaim, and it's not a rush. It's not got to be pushed out to them. They made it very evident that they never said no. But did they say yes? No.
How far were you into the discussions?
Open-ended.
How involved were you guys into the discussions? Where were you? You know what I mean? In terms of getting this thing off the ground. And then they made mention of West Side Gun possibly dropping the track on his album to bring Slaughterhouse back. And it got me to thinking, like, I love West Side. But
yeah.
So like y'all could have got together. Why do y'all have to make y'all grand debut back onto the scene via West Side Gun? Y'all all are lyrically better than him, and as a entity bigger than, you know, anything that he can do. Like, why do y'all have to be reintroduced to that? And if Joe did want to come get, you know, reacclimated into rapping and kind of go through a rap boot camp, so to speak, as what they talked about, then you would have took the time to go there and do it. And why did
Script Club,
West Side Gun?
Script Club.
Why did West Side Gun have to be, you know, the catalyst to getting you guys back together? Why you just couldn't just go anyway? Why does it have to be something tied to somebody else to get you in the booth? You know what I'm saying? With your quote unquote brothers. Like, people throw that damn word out there left and right, and then got nerve. Before I get to the suck my dick comment, because I you know,
mad disrespectful.
Before we get to the suck my dick comment, let's break this down, or help me understand. For the life of me, I can't understand why it's a Joe is in or nothing mindset from Royce to 5'9". Do you? I can't wrap my from everybody. I can see both sides. I just don't understand that.
So if what I can gather from what I would think is with Royce is, because I probably think the same way a little bit too. If you created something as a group, right? You create it as a group. The whole group need to be there, right? Or it's not that. Let's name it something else. Let's call it. Let's just be featured on each other albums. Don't call it Slaughterhouse. Like, if it's not the whole collective. If we're gonna do it, I don't want to bring in nobody new and they fill in, replace. No, we created that. We'll create this. You know what I mean? But if you're gonna say that name, the whole crew, I won't be involved, or that's just a dead issue. I can see that. If that's how he's thinking, and I think my perception is that's how he was kind of coming at that. And I think he knew behind the scenes. He was talking to Joe, and you could tell by the interaction they had, like, it was some nimbling. Like, he may have been able to pull Joe back. He was close. It felt like he was close, right?
Yeah. And Royce has this, so I understand that point, but Royce has this real keen, this real shrewd way of being very calm in the face of bullshit. You know what I mean? Which means I don't know what type I don't know Royce outside of the music and just interviews and just, following his page. So that means I don't know him. People show what they want to show, right? But I will say is like that whole ordeal did not have to happen. They did not have to bring Joel on. They shouldn't have been talking about Slaughterhouse shit publicly, because if you're gonna feel a way about them rapping about it, then why you guys out on live talking about it? That same live could have been a conversation that you guys could have all been on FaceTime, Skype, whatever. You know what I mean? You could have done that. And if you wanted to end the clown show, why throw your hat in the ring of the circus? Because now it's full on. You know what I mean? And the album ain't really probably done yet. It's probably still more recordings. And then Joe, I gotta commend Ish and Ice off the Joe Budden podcast, because they talked them off the ledge, kept them off the ledge last episode, not this Saturday's episode, but the episode prior to that, to really doing what Joe does as far as just really saying shit and too much shit. You know what I mean? It's too much personal shit, because it's a lot of personal shit. But I feel like Royce incited a riot, man. I feel like he really did. And he was just there, cool, calm, and collected in the face of the fire, because Royce don't look bad at all in this. But I peeped it. To me, you an enabler. You know this man is off the hinges if he ever give it a chance to really say how he really feel. You know what I mean? But why put that out there? Why put that out there? And then it ends with, Joe telling Joel, as far as supporting the album can suck his dick. To me, the album or not, in the heat of the moment, you telling me to suck your dick. Like that's really it. You know what I mean? And he was asking him to support it. Only thing I agree with Joe about is he didn't have to say suck my dick or nothing like that. I do agree with nah, man, I'm not.
He said,
no
but
shit.
No. Didn't he say like he wished him the best, and you know what I mean, like they still like he's gonna do it, and he was like, well, if you're gonna support by saying go listen to the album, and then that's when what I ain't saying that, and
because
that's kind of,
to me that's kind of crazy, man. Like you're airing out our personal shit, regardless of whether you feel like you're respectful. How I internalize.
So we talked about this a little bit earlier. And I think it's but if you go back and listen to that Joel's stuff, his music, right? This is what he does. He's talking about his personal life, and like, so now you want him to mold his style of rapping totally different. Like this is what he puts it in a lot of his songs. He's very a personal writer. Like he airs all that stuff out. So you were asking him to just shut down that portion and never mention that portion of their life, even though he knows he's going to get asked about it constantly. And especially if they're going to be teamed up with Crooked Eye, that's going to be a question that's going to constantly come up. So like, it's impossible not to talk about this, in that little crew, or when they're making music together. And if this is how they close that chapter, this is how they close that chapter,
Why couldn't they close?
I'm not in it personally.
Right.
So I can understand. I think I can, outside looking in, I can understand how people can be offended from that, all the stuff that was being said. But truthfully, it wasn't nothing too bad in those songs for me. That was like saying anything. Like, hey,
Yeah. I feel
people split. Stuff go wrong. Like it happens. You have those in relationship. Everybody ain't gonna stay like perfect. So they just told the story as it is, and it kind of gave closure on it. And now it's actually been brought up into a bigger deal than I think the group ever was. They making more. Both people are getting a lot of views. I think.
Well,
Joel
on the flip side,
and Crooked Eye getting a lot of views, and then Joe Budden are getting a lot off of it by, just being people tuning in to hear what Joe gonna think. What is he gonna say?
Mm-hmm.
So all of them got like a little boost in the past week or so, and I think Joe trying to say like he did say it's like he's bigger than the group or whatever.
Yeah, he did allude to it. Now Joe will tell you, did I say that? Did I say that specifically? Because you know what I mean. But to his point, though,
I gotta stop you. Sorry. I know I just stopped you a lot on this, but we know somebody like this.
Oh yes,
we talk to him on a daily.
I know this type of debater.
You gotta be down to those semantics. You gotta be dead on. Did I say that? Was the bet? Was it agreed upon?
Oh yeah.
Did I say it? Okay?
It turns into a fucking lunchroom, courtroom, man, in the group chat, man. When it comes down to fucking anything with this particular person in question, man. So I know the type of arguer or debater. Like Joe could be fucking. He can be completely annoying, like to be around to debate with, like because even listening to him on the podcast, I'll be like, sometimes I just gotta fast forward because I know Joe is being Joe on the pod, and it's like, nah, bro, I can't. Come on, man, let it go, man. Like you hanging on to this one little thing, and that's the only thing that is just trying to get you out of the stream, and like so I can't do it. But what I was saying earlier is like, you know, on the flip side of it, why couldn't Crooked and Joel just make Hard Part 2 with the same songs? Yeah. Joe had a point. If you
got an ownership or something though, I kind of want to spark it back up. I don't know, man. Like it just seemed like they was pushing things and they had a movement going. They had an idea. Like I said, like it didn't look like timelines between both sides correlated.
Yo, you know what happened? Case in point, Book of Ryan came out, did really well for Royce, put him into another stratosphere. The album with Eminem put him into another stratosphere. The Allegory cemented Royce as an alien writer. Podcast is doing amazing for Joe. #1 for years at a time, and is still making moves and is still doing groundbreaking things with the podcast. He's ascended to levels he's never ascended to in his music career. They don't got the time for these bullshit, the whatever deals that Joel and Crooked are bringing to the table. Enough to even stop what they doing. That's it. That's really it. That's really what it is.
I don't know if that's really it, but I mean, I get what you're saying.
I mean, I just cut into the bullshit. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is, man. That's what it is, and it's of course personal shit. But I hate to see with one of my favorite collectives. You know what I mean? I don't even have a chance to really go back and listen to a lot of their music because a lot of their best music isn't on streaming services.
Okay, I was about to like you saying your best and your favorite. Name me a couple songs.
Microphone. Cut You Loose. What else? There's a lot of different joints. Truth for Truth. But most of this shit is on that piff, man. Like I gotta be honest.
Can you name? Give me 5 cuts of the Locks.
I can name. You know that's my favorite group, man. I can name 5 easy in my sleep.
I was just trying to make a point here. You saying that shit like they one of your favorite.
I said one of my favorite groups.
Yeah,
one of my favorite groups.
I loved what they was built on and what they was going to, man. But I don't know when the last time I listened to a Slaughterhouse song or I wanted to go back and check out a Slaughterhouse album. Now, don't get me wrong. I appreciate each one of them as artists, and you know we go back and review their album, and I like them. I probably was like that when it came out. I'm just saying, truthfully, I ain't went back to none of that music a lot. You know, may sprinkle it in over here, but it wasn't classic.
But to close it out, Perez, I just want to say, I hope that these guys figure it out, get it together. I still don't think that anything that was said on the live with Joel, and Royce, still don't feel like anything that was said on there can't be walked back. Even the suck my dick comment, just for me, that's a trigger word for me to throw these hands. That's just it. That's for me. You know, so I think that was a blow that Joe didn't have to go there easily. An apology warranted. for that alone. He could have just said, I'm not going to support it, and Suck My Dick didn't have to follow. But, you know, hopefully these guys can get together at some point after this and reconcile, man, because just I like their friendship and the shit that they portrayed. Like, it was a cool ass group, man. You know what I'm saying? Real personable, down to earth. And it just seems like this is some clown show I don't ever want to see.
And all extremely lyrical. Like so this, you was in a corner on that sense. Like, you want to see that group like blow up and make it. You feel like they're still owed that classic album that we feel like that collective can make.
Glass House, yep. So somebody leak Glass House, please. Somebody leak it. You know what I mean? So we need that.
Drop an album and go on another big run. Wow, they about to leave us with a shattered house. I guess we'll never get the album Glass House. Shit. Now what I'm supposed to do for inspiration? I still play their albums every day. Check my playlist. I'm like, they'll work it out with a conversation. Then on Instagram Live, I saw the conversation, and it ain't go well. Shoulder shrugs like, oh well. They using words like suck my dick. Hey, why y'all go there? It's like my older brothers had a fight, and I love them all the same. Don't wanna pick a side. This is more than a spat. This is a family feud. And if they never work it out, then everybody lose. Slaughterhouse is that big as y'all supposed to get. I hate the day that's confirmed. It hurt me.